Today marks the release of R&B singer-star Brandy's memoir, Phases, and it's coming off her recent celebration of having a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Now, there have been reports slowly pouring out about what's in Brandy's memoir. In this memoir, Brandy opens up about certain moments that had a negative effect on her. And one of those moments that had an effect on her was when she was involved in a car crash accident in 2006 that took the life of a woman. This is what the Jasmine brand is reporting. It says, according to the reports, the singer opens up about the highs and lows of her decade-long career and personal life, including the debilitating survivor's guilt she faced after a fatal car accident. On December 30th, 2006, while driving on the 405 freeway in Los Angeles, Brandy was involved in a collision with a vehicle driven by a 30-year-old Atef Abdullah. Abdullah's car reportedly struck another vehicle before hitting the center divider and was then hit by a third car. Now, the reports vary on the exact cause of the accident, but tragically, Abdullah later passed from her injuries. Brandy was found not at fault but still faced lawsuits from Abdullah's family, though all were either settled out of court or dismissed. Now, in the article, as she reflected on the traumatic experience, this was Brandy's quote. Guilt gripped my throat, squeezed harder and harder until breathing became a conscious effort. I no longer felt I had the right to continue living my life, or even to experience fleeting glimmers of joy. She also recalled struggling with the knowledge that the woman who had passed would never again feel sunshine on her face or hold her children close. Brandy also added that while therapy has helped her cope, the grief never left, but it softened. It made room. I stopped asking it to go away. End quote. Now, I definitely remember this moment in time where Brandy was going through this. It seemed like her career was pretty much at a plateau. Now, you got to keep in mind, this was before her Human album release, so all of this took place around that time. And also, I can remember reports saying that the family allegedly wanted to sue her anywhere between 30 and 50 million dollars. So around that time, she was facing a lot of scrutiny. People was calling her all kinds of names or labeling her as the person that took this woman's life. And it was a very tough time for Brandy. And Brandy explained this to Oprah when she did a sit down with her.
Was 2006 the worst time for you when you were involved in the accident and the woman was killed? Was that the worst?
Yes. Being involved in something that tragic, and I couldn't believe it, and I don't like to think about it because I don't think that's something I could ever get over or ever truly understand. But that was one of the worst times in my life.
Now, while I can't say I can relate, I can only say that I can only imagine, because one, you got somebody who's a regular human being just like us, but they're not looked at like that because they are this big name celebrity. So naturally, being a celebrity, you're going to face more scrutiny and you're going to be under the pressures of the limelight. And because Brandy's name, and Brandy was so big at the time, her name was attached to this accident, it was easy to attach the unfortunate incident to the big name celebrity. It says that she was clearly not at fault. And she suffered in a lot of ways, more than one. She has suffered mentally, emotionally, and I'm sure physically, if they was in a crash. And this took a toll on her. And it was so crazy how the narrative was spun that she, basically took the life of this woman, when in all actuality, once stories get out there and it becomes a false narrative, even if you correct it and you present it with the truth, nobody really cares about that because it's not as entertaining, it's not as salacious, it's not as gut-wrenching. It doesn't spark up confrontation like confrontational or something that's just damaging to someone. So I think that took a lot of toll on Brandy's mental, especially with somebody who's like Brandy with her come up. You got to think about it. She was like the postal child for every young black girl out there who was a positive role model, and her image was so prim and polished. and she didn't have any stains or anything negative attached to her name. So to go for something like that, for it to end into something like this, you got to understand what that probably had done to her. And I'm pretty sure it killed a lot of her confidence down the line as well. Another interesting part of Brandy's memoir that was reported on from an article I thought was interesting to talk about was her relationship with Boys to Men member Wanya Morris. Now, this is what's being reported from Media Takeout. Yes, I said Media Takeout. Listen, hear me out. I don't make the news, I just report what's being said or what had happened, allegedly. So let's get into what Media Takeout had to say. They said Brandy's bombshell romance with Wanya Morris started at 16. The article says for years, Wanya has maintained that his relationship with Brandy didn't start until she was 18 years old. You know, legal, clean, no questions asked. But according to Brandy herself, that version of the story is looking real revised. He called me his 16-year-old girlfriend. And this is quoted from Brandy. It says, in her own words, Brandy says the relationship actually started when she was 16 years old, while Wanya was a full-grown 22 years old. It says Brandy claimed their connection began even earlier when she was around 15, with Wanya stepping in as a quote-unquote mentor, calling her regularly, checking in, giving advice, basically playing the role of a trusted confidant. But once she joined the group on tour, that quote-unquote mentor energy allegedly turned into something much more. Brandy says that Wanya would casually refer to her as his girlfriend behind closed doors, even saying, quote-unquote, my girlfriend is 16. They said in the article, quote, for years I struggled with how I was treated in this relationship, she writes. He saw a 15-year-old girl with rising fame and admiration for his talent, and I believed he deliberately took advantage. This was a 22-year-old man who I believe knew exactly what he was doing when he pursued an underage girl. End quote. And then they have a section where they were talking about them sneaking around and secret love. It says, while Wanya previously claimed Brandy's parents were fully aware and involved, Brandy is now saying that complete opposite. It says, according to her, the relationship was hidden, sneaky, and something she knew deep down wasn't right, but she convinced herself it was love. She even revealed that Wanya was her first, saying she lost her V card to him and genuinely believed they were in a real relationship. But things didn't stay sweet. Brandy also wrote a Morris narrative surrounding the relationship in the years since, expressing infuriation that the onus of the inappropriate relationship has been placed on her and being characterized as dramatic. Brandy says the dynamic eventually shifted and not in a good way. She claimed that Wanya became more critical, more controlling, and started limiting her access to him, and then came to the ultimate heartbreak. She allegedly caught him cheating with his assistant. When confronted, she says he admitted to sleeping with multiple women. Now grown and reflecting back, Brandy is not mincing her words. She says she believes Wanya intentionally pursued her, fully aware of her age, her admiration, and her vulnerability. Quote unquote, he saw a young girl with rising fame and took advantage. And she is clearly fed up with the narrative that's being pushed for years, especially the one that paints her as dramatic or misremembering events. Brandy says she was vulnerable to the attention of someone I idolized, calling the relationship a calculated courtship. The shame I carried over the relationship ends here. I have grown more resentful at Wanya's insistence of refraining that time. His continued attempts to rewrite history with himself as the misunderstood romantic lead rather than the adult man he was, she writes. His refusal to acknowledge what I believe he did, to take responsibility for the power I believe he wielded and abused, feels like it's its own form of continued abuse. Now, I know I'm not the brightest crayon in the box, but this sounds a lot like Brandy is alluding to the fact that she was allegedly groomed. And that's exactly what it sounds like, because she was 15 years old at the time and he was 22. He very much, in fact, played on her vulnerability. In my opinion, he took advantage of her naivety because as a grown 22-year-old man, what could possibly make you think that it was appropriate to be in relationship with a 15-year-old and for him to have intercourse with her knowing that she was 15 years old or 16 whenever it happened allegedly. Now you got to keep in mind around this time, Boys to Men was huge. So by that group being that big, you got to know that a lot of women, a lot of girls were throwing themselves those young men way. So you can't tell me that he was not experienced. But someone like her who is innocent, bubbly, just coming into the industry, you chose her out of all the other women that were 22 years old and up that you could have told me, even 18 and up. You chose a 15-year-old instead. And what's so crazy, at the time, Brandy had doubt about their relationship, meaning her self-conscious was telling her that, hey, what we doing ain't right. And it's the fact that she even knew deep down inside their relationship was inappropriate, but he did not care at all. And you can't tell me for 1 second that Sonya approved of this, because I know for a very fact that if Sonya knew about this, she would have been shut it down if she knew that Brandy was 15 at the time. But one can argue that, your parents or their parents has a big age gap, and while that's true, it was different times, so it's a lot of age gaps with the older generation, but that does not make it right, especially in today's time. It doesn't make it right at all. And Wanya even was on the Breakfast Club claiming that when him and Brandy was together, the relationship between them two, that she was of age and that she was old enough. So I believe Brandy, if it was in this article, is true, saying that they keep trying to rewrite history, saying that she got memory issues.
You had a celebrity relationship. Were you the only one that was ever involved with a celebrity?
Who was he dating?
Wanya was banging Brandy.
Brandy.
He left you lonely, broken hearted.
And just only live by my view. Revolt.
They were saying she was really young when y'all dated.
Yeah, she was. Not that young. Not
jail baby.
No, that's what I'm saying. But you know, that's why. But now, hold on. That's why I stopped it. Hold on. But that's why I stopped it and said that she wasn't that young, because I don't want y'all to think Boys to Men was no.
I
was young too.
She said she was 15 and she had to keep it a secret because she was so young.
See, we did the thing. We did the thing when she was like 16, 17, around that time,
So you were still a boy too.
I wasn't old. I wasn't like 38 years old, nothing like that. I was old enough to. She was old enough to get it. Okay.
So it's quite obvious that adult Brandy had some time to do some self-reflecting and self-work, and she basically reflected back on her past relationships in her life, and she obviously knew that a 15-year-old being with a 22-year-old was inappropriate. I highly doubt that adult Brandy would approve of, at any point in time, her 15-year-old daughter wanting to talk to or date a 22-year-old. And as far as him saying that, oh, she was 16, 17, that's what we did around that time. 16, 17, I can see Sonya allowing her to date, talk. 15 years old, absolutely not. Like I said, I think that Brandy was telling the truth when she said that she's tired of them trying to rewrite history, because if you watch that video, you can see that the other band member chimed in as well, pretty much backing up his band member and basically making it seem like, oh, well, the age gap wasn't too big at the time. And as far as her talking about in her memoir is they were sneaking around or her relationship being a secret, I feel like, in my opinion, there was something that he was putting in her head, right? Don't tell anybody, or nobody can know about this, or we don't want that kind of problems coming our way, this and that. That's usually how grooming in situations like that work. That's just my opinion. Now, honestly, I feel like she's telling the truth when she said that being in multiple relationships, because you know that it was rumored that he was talking to Adina Howard around the same time that he was dealing with Brandy.
Thanks to a liaison with Wanya of Boys to Men, who at the time was dating Adina's platinum-selling label mate, Brandy.
Wanya met Adina
and it's on and popping. When you meet a dinner, it's on and popping.
Two young ladies allowed their egos to get in the way and were kind of going through it about a guy.
In my opinion, this just marks a moment in time in her life that she probably regrets. Her being 15 years old, obviously being in a relationship that's inappropriate, and she probably felt regret about that. But she was 15 years old at the time, so you really can't blame her. You gotta blame the adult in the situation, and he definitely was an adult in this situation. Things that doesn't take away all of her accomplishment. It doesn't take away her hit TV shows. It doesn't take away her being on the covers of magazines and having Barbie dolls, being the first black Cinderella, all around a superstar and coming up off a successful tour from last year. So with all in all said, Brandy deserves her flowers, and she got them. She got them when she got her Hollywood star on the Walk of Fame. And I'm gonna end this video with Brandy giving her speech while she's being celebrated. So go ahead and finish the rest of this video. Leave your thoughts down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will talk to you in the next video.
Seeing the stars on the Walk of Fame lit something in me. It made me believe. It made me affirm over my own life. I'm gonna sing my way onto one of these stars. And I did. That is what makes this moment so profound for me, so full circle, so sacred. I am beyond grateful. This moment brings so much meaning back to my life. It reminds me that dreams are still holy, that hard work still matters, and that what God places in your heart is never without purpose. Yes, it is. I've been blessed to do what I love for a very long time, and moments like these continue to inspire me. They remind me to keep dreaming, creating, reaching, and showing up at the highest level I can. Because if the little girl from Macomb, Mississippi could come to Hollywood, look down at those stars, and dare to believe that one day her name would be among them, then anything is possible. I know where I started, y'all. The prayers, the sacrifices, the quiet moments nobody saw. But I was never alone. I didn't get here by myself. So to every person who saw something in me before the world did, to every hand that reached for me when I was still reaching for myself, to every room that made space for me, and even the ones that didn't, thank you.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe here with us at Back in Time. But until next time.
Don't you feel tough? Yeah! Don't you feel strong? Yeah! Don't you feel like going home? Sure! Yeah! Then get the hell out of my apartment and